Yo, what's going on, guys? So as you guys might know, the new Wild Hunter Revamp is out, and I'm really excited to tell you guys everything I learned so that you guys don't have to go through the trouble and the reading that I had to do. So let's get right into it. So the very first thing is the skills that it has and what skills you're actually going to use during your time playing as a Wild Hunter. So just looking at the skills really quickly, in the beginner tab, there aren't any skills here that are specific to Wild Hunter that you're going to be using, so you don't have to worry about this tab. And then just going to the first job tab, Wild Arrow Blast, this will get replaced, so don't need to worry about this. Jaguar Rider, this allows you to toggle your Jaguar on and off, which is convenient, but not necessary since anytime you do one of these attacks, it's actually going to summon the Jaguar for you. So no need to actually have it on a key. If you do ever want to get off your Jaguar, you can just right click it off your buff, so definitely don't need to assign a hotkey for it at all. Another skill that's going to be pretty important in the first job tab is Predator's Pounce. This is basically a skill that marks a mob or boss in the game, and you're going to be able to press it again to teleport back to it. So there's some really cool tech that you could do with this skill specifically. So I'm just going to demonstrate it here. So if I press F on this, I've marked this target, which is the closest thing to me. So now no matter where I am on the map, I'm just going to teleport directly to it if I ever use this skill again. And if you ever want to change targets, let's say I want to go on this dummy instead, you just press down and then F again, and it'll remark the next closest target. So now you'll be able to teleport directly to that instead. In a boss setting, I can see this as being really useful. It acts as a true teleport. So let's say you're trying to avoid some mechanics that are, maybe there's falling debris here or something, you would be able to just press whatever key it's on and teleport to it directly. So that wraps it up for the first job skills. So for the second job skills, again, this Wild Arrow Blast gets replaced by a future skill. Don't need to worry about that. This is just a passive. This skill, Call of the Wild, is a buff that you could assign to your pet. So as you can see, I have it assigned to my small spirit here. Next thing is for the third job, and there's actually 4 skills here that you're going to want to assign to a key. So there's White Heat Rush, which is kind of your dashing skill. So if you use this without pressing any arrow keys, it'll just go straight up like this. If you're holding the left and right arrow keys, it's going to move you across the ground like this. You can also use this skill diagonally in any direction. So if you want to do, say this, for example, I'm just holding down and the right arrow key while I'm pressing the skills. So that's how you're going to be able to dash downwards as well. The next thing that we're going to use from the third job is Trap Seed. So basically this is your class summon. So by pressing the key, you push out this, and basically anytime you attack, it's going to put out these mines on the floor, and whatever mob is touching it or lands on it, it's going to explode. And this is probably most useful for when you're mobbing, and you can put it in a specific part of the map to clear the monsters in that area. And I'll show you guys later on the most efficient way to mob on Wild Hunters, but you're not going to be really using this in a boss setting for now. The next skill that you're going to want to keep in mind is Feline Berserk. So anytime you press this, you're just going to be iframe for 2 seconds and you won't be able to get hit by any mobs or bosses. And then the last skill that you want to care about in third job is Backstep. Normally, if you're holding down your attack skills and moving left and right, your character moves alongside it. But if I toggle it on like I just did, and you start attacking, it's actually not going to move the direction that you're facing. So that's definitely useful for when you're trying to dodge boss mechanics, but you don't want to stop attacking the boss. You can just toggle this on and keep attacking the boss as freely as possible. So now moving on to the fourth job, this is when you get your main skill that I was just using called Wild Arrow Blast Apex. This is going to be the main skill that you're going to be using. As you can see, it's a hurricane-like skill where you just continuously hold it down and it's going to keep attacking. It's going to trigger some of the passes from my Jaguar as well. You can see my Jaguar is coming out every now and then to attack the boss. The next skill that you want to care about is Alpha Surge, and this is just a short cooldown attack that sends out your Jaguar forward and hits monsters in the area in front of you. The next skill that you want is the Lure Beacon. That's going to place down this dummy. At least for a short while, you're going to be able to use this dummy to attract bosses, and it's going to make it easier to hit bosses in a real bossing setting. The next skill that Wild Hunters have is Real Sharp Eyes. So you're going to want to use this instead instead of the decent sharp eyes that you get in 5th job, so make sure that you're assigning the right one to your pet auto buff. And then the last skill is Hero's Will, which will clear any abnormal status effects. So anything like a blind or paralyzed or something like that, then you'll be immune to most abnormal status effects for the next 3 seconds. So now let's move on to 5th job and what skills you might need from there. For the first V Matrix skill, it's called Predator's Eye. And this is another short cooldown skill that you're going to want to press whenever it's up. It's just going to do a burst of damage to monsters in your area. The next skill that you get is this skill right here, Wild Arrow Blast Overdrive. This is going to be one of your main burst skills. You're going to hold down this skill. Just make sure to hold down, because if you just tap it, it's going to go on cooldown. And the next skill that's important in the V Matrix is Primal Bloom. This is basically another buff that's going to change the background as well when you press it. If you right click the skill, it's no longer going to show that background when you activate it. But I actually really like the background, so I'm going to leave it untoggled. And the last skill that you want to care about is Overbite, which is passive. So this is just going to come out whenever you attack. The cool thing about this is it gives you an iframe. So once it triggers automatically, you're going to be iframe for 1.9 seconds. So just a really cool free iframe every now and then. Another thing in your V Matrix that you want to keep in mind is this guided arrow. So this is going to be a toggle that you turn on, and it's going to show a little arrow behind you. And what this does is anytime you're attacking a monster or boss, it's going to come and start doing additional damage. So definitely want to make sure you always have this toggle on. Once you get to level 260 and unlock all your V Matrix slots, you're going to have a ton of space for everything. So I would recommend putting on every single skill that you see here. But the important things to go over are what boost nodes you need for Wild Hunter. There are 3 sets of trios that you're going to want to get. The first one is this one here, which has Assist Rending Swipe, Assist Snapping Fangs, and Assist Skull Bash. You want 2 copies of this. And the next set of tri-nodes is Command Alpha Surge, Wild Arrow Blast Apex, and Trap Seed. So you're going to want 2 of these as well. And then lastly, you want White Heat Rush, Command Titan Pounce, and Final Attack / Another Bite as your last set of tri-nodes. As for what you want to level up, I'm going to put up on the screen the level order that the Wild Hunter Discord recommends, but I would just focus on anything from Will of Erda to above, as all those skills actually give a decent benefit from actually leveling them up. If you are able to defeat Saren on a different character, you should have the Saren skill, which you can put as the last node slot there. The next thing I want to go over are your hyper skills. For Liberty here is just a buff that you're going to add to your sequence. Volt Snare is your class bind. Command Titan Pounce is going to be another skill that has a short cooldown, and you basically want to use this whenever it's off cooldown. And then for passive skills, you want to put a point into Wild Arrow Blast Apex, Reinforce, Assist Reinforce, Assist Boss Rush, Another Bite Reinforce, as well as Another Bite Boss Rush. And the last thing that I want to show you is just something from 6th job. You're going to unlock your origin called Synchronous Hunt. I think this is one of the coolest origins in the game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just going to include here what the set looks like just so you can see and have something to look forward to. One thing that you want to keep in mind is that you pretty much never have to let go of the Hurricane skill. So I'll kind of demonstrate what I mean by that. So as you're holding down the Hurricane skill, you can flash jump to the left and right. You can up jump as well. But I think something that not a lot of players are going to know right off the bat is that the skills Command Alpha Surge, Command Titan Pounce, and Command Predator's Eye. So all these command skills, you actually don't need to let go of your Hurricane skill either in order to use them. So as you can see here, I'm holding down Hurricane, then I'm going to press my W, I'm going to press my Q, and I'm going to press my R, which are all the command skills. And as you can see, I've never once had to let go of my Hurricane skill to activate those skills. And that same thing actually also applies to Overdrive, which is your main burst skill. Once you're holding down Overdrive, you can also use the other command skills, as I'll demonstrate here. So as you can see, I can still hold down Overdrive, and then I was able to activate all 3 command skills without having to let go of it at all, And speaking of bursts, I'm going to demonstrate what exactly you have to do to get your burst off most optimally so that you're not missing out on damage. What you're going to want for your burst sequences are 2 sequences, one for the 2-minute burst and another for the 1-minute burst. For the 2-minute burst, the skills that you want on here are For Liberty, Maple War Goddess's Blessing, Vicious Shot, Primal Bloom, Terms and Conditions, which is the Angelic Buster Link skill. I currently don't have a Ring of Restraint ring, which is why I can't assign it here, but once I get one, I'm going to assign it into this last slot. And for the 1-minute burst sequence, you want to have Call of the Wild. You can put any one of the decent skills in here until you obtain a weapon jump ring, which I currently also do not have. So this is currently a filler. And then lastly, I have Terms and Conditions. If you don't currently have a weapon jump ring, you can just use Terms and Conditions every minute as part of your burst instead of the 1-minute sequence. So the actual keys that you're going to want to press during your bursts are as follows. So first you want to bind the boss, whether that's with Volt Snare, your class bind, or with Urda Nova, the common 5th job bind. Then start holding down Overdrive, which is your main burst skill, and then press all 3 command skills while holding down Overdrive. And then after using all the command skills, then you want to immediately press your Origin. And then after Origin finishes, these command skills should be back off cooldown, and then you can use them once again to finish out your burst. So I'm going to be demonstrating exactly how you want to burst every 2 minutes. So first you want to press your Will or Siren skills if they're off cooldown. So I'll press that, I'll bind the boss, I'll press my sequence and I'll hold Overdrive and then use my command skills. And then once Overdrive is done, I immediately press my Origin skill and let that go off. And then here I'm holding down my Hurricane button, so I start using my Hurricane skill as soon as it's off cooldown, and then once the command skills are back up, I'm going to press them as well while holding down Hurricane to do the most damage as possible, and that should be the end of my burst. As for your 1-minute burst, you basically just want to press Terms and Conditions if you don't have a weapon jump ring. If you do, just use the 1-minute sequence that I was referring to earlier. I'll just press Terms and Conditions. And then I'm going to use my command skills, and that's just going to be your 1-minute burst. I also want to note that if you want to keep facing the boss while dodging mechanics, you can actually press your backstep toggle while hurricaning as well. And that's going to make it so that I can still face the boss while I'm trying to dodge its mechanics and such. Another thing that you want to keep in mind for Wild Hunters is the inner ability. So what you want ideally is boss damage as the top line, and then line 2 would be 20% crit rate, and then line 3 will be 8% abnormal or 10% CD skip. For farming, you just want Meso obtained, a unique item drop line, and 21 attack or 8% damage to normal mobs. For your weapon, secondary, and emblem, ideally you would have a 900 setup, which means you want 9 lines of percentage attack. Next up are your link skills. So this is going to be your ideal setup for training and mobbing, and this is going to be your ideal setup for bossing. I think there's actually a ton of cool things and movement tricks that you can use while bossing. So the first thing that I like to do when entering any boss is marking the boss. So just press your Predator's Pound skill, and that's going to mark the boss. So as you can see here, Gloom has now been marked. And now whenever I press that skill again, I'm going to be able to teleport to him, which is actually going to help me dodge quite a few skills. You want to be able to hit the boss as often as possible, so I'm going to toggle on the backstep skill. And then if I ever do need to dash downwards diagonally, I'm going to use this skill. And as you can see, this is pretty useful for Gloom specifically. Because of the backstep toggle, I was still able to hit Gloom during laser just by pressing backwards. Another thing to keep in mind is that your actual hitbox isn't where your head is, it's where your Jaguar ends. So everything up to here where a normal character might be is my actual hitbox. When I'm about to get hit by one of these orbs, it doesn't really hit me until it's way down there. And then finally, the last tip that I have for bossing is just making sure to click your command skills whenever they're up. Unless of course your burst is about to be up, but you should be able to get at least 2 additional presses in between your 1-minute and 2-minute bursts. As for training, you would just place your trap seed on any location like this platform up here that's pretty inconvenient to get to. Just remember to set it kind of in line with the platform that you want to hit. For example, if I place trap seed down here, it's actually not going to place down any mines in this top platform. To get an extra summon that you can use while mobbing, make sure to right click Urda Shower to turn it into Urda Fountain so that you can place it in one of the locations. And then once you get Janus, you can also place down an orb safe here, for example. And then what I would do is just stand in one spot. I want to stand here, and then I would just press my command skills whenever they're up, and they should just hit whatever mobs are nearby. If you're like me and you're still using these dusty arrows over here, let me show you how you can get arrows that give you way more attack per hit. I would recommend that you do this on a character that already has high drop rate, just so the recipe can drop. And what you're going to be looking for is the recipe for titanium arrows for crossbows. By going to the map and looking up the monster named Flora. So I'll recommend this one because it only has Flora spawning. And you just go here and start hitting them. And eventually you should be able to get a titanium arrow recipe. So it looks like I just got one there. There's the titanium arrow for crossbow recipe that I just got. So after getting the recipe, you can go ahead and use it. And then if you look into your smithing tab, it's only going to cost 1 luck crystal to make, which you should pretty easily have from auto harvest. And then what you want to do is just go to Ardent Mill, make sure you're standing next to this NPC here, the Master is Smithing, and then you should be able to craft the arrow. There we go, got 1 titanium arrow. And Wild Hunters have a passive where you only really need 1 of these to attack, so this is more than enough for giving it to your Wild Hunter or any other crossbow character that you might have across your account. And that is pretty much all you need to know about the Wild Hunter Revamp. If you made it this far in the video, I want you to comment down below what exactly you love about the update and whether you're enjoying your new Wild Hunter so far. And if this video helped you out at all, I'd really appreciate a like on the video and for you to subscribe to my channel, and also come check out my live streams on Twitch. I really hope to see you all there.